You want a war? You're gonna get one.
Forget the lies, the money. We're in this together and through it all. They said that nothing's forever, and they refuse to see the change in me. Why won't they wake up? Come on, come on, come on. Let's get it out to the music. Play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah.
Hey yo, welcome back to Reliving the War and welcome to the 16th of March 1998. Tonight, Raw comes from Phoenix, Arizona, while Nitro's in Club La Vela in Panama City Beach, Florida. I love these spring break episodes of Nitro. Uncensored just took place and I'm hoping the video's still available now, so if you missed it, check it out before watching this week's episode of RTW. This might end up being a short episode this week because Nitro's runtime's been cut down by around 20 minutes, and the WWF play a few WrestleMania hype videos that take up a lot of time. So I'm going to use this episode to give you guys an announcement regarding Reliving the War. Stick around to the end and I'll let you know what's going on. Alright, let's go to Panama City Beach and check out Nitro's first 60 minutes. The commentators talk about the uncensored main event and the confusion caused by Randy Savage's actions towards the end of the match. The boys get interrupted by Hollywood Hogan's entrance music, so we kick things off with the mandatory Hogan promo on Monday Nitro. The whole squad's here except Randy Savage. Nash and Hall are wasted, and this isn't guesswork by the way, they admitted to being wasted at this show and Eric Bischoff was pissed off. Big Nash is going to do something a little later to piss Eric off even more. Bischoff says there's no split in the NWO and there's no breakup in the NWO. Hogan says he's got the whole family with him tonight. He gives Nash a shout out for beating the Giant at Uncensored even though he didn't. In regards to the Macho Man though, Hogan says he appreciates Savage stepping over the line to test out Hollywood. Randy being so stubborn is one of the Macho Man's qualities, but Hulk beat Randy within an inch of his life and Savage saw the light. Everything's now good between the Macho Man, Hulk Hogan and the NWO, apparently. Now Randy's back in Hogan's good books, Eric Bischoff's got a surprise for Randy. Tonight in the main event, the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan will team up to face Sting and Lex Luger. This will be a great opportunity for Randy to prove he's NWO for life. Goldberg vs Lodi's our first matchup and it's a short one. Goldberg grabs Lodi by the throat before delivering a gorilla press slam. Lodi then takes a spear followed by the jackhammer. The crowd lose their minds and Goldberg wins another one. He has to take out flock members immediately afterwards. Perry Saturn stops at the apron though, so maybe we're looking at Saturn vs Goldberg soon. Goldberg defeated Chase Tatum on WCW Saturday Night, so this victory puts him at 47-0. Ultimo Dragon wrestled Fit Finlay next, and Dragon had a little botchy moment when trying a kip-up, but the rest of the match was absolutely fine, and Dragon won with his Dragon Sleeper. Finlay wasn't too pleased that Ultimo Dragon beat him, but Finlay shouldn't have topped out if he was going to be a little bitch about it. Scott Norton tried to eat the camera on his way to the ring before facing gentleman Chris Adams. Tony Schiavone reminded fans that the over-the-top DQ rule doesn't exist anymore when Scott dumped Adams to the outside for Buff Bagwell to do a little damage. We didn't see the super kick unfortunately, this was more or less a glorified squash match. Scott Norton put Adams away with a shoulder breaker. Earlier in the day, a Miss Nitro was crowned on the beach and her prize was a crappie camera and a night with Disco Inferno. Needless to say, this lady instantly regretted signing up for the contest. Also, there's Kenyon right there without his Mortis mask on. I mean, yeah, it would have been weird if he was wearing a creepy Mortis mask on the beach. The Hart Foundation then reunited on Nitro, the British Bulldog and Jim Neidhart versus Mike Enos and Wayne Bloom. Davey Boy was the hero of the match when he got that all-important hot tag, but unfortunately no chins were locked during the entirety of this illustrious tag team bout. A running power slam wins it for Davey and Jim. Brett's contract was so sweet that he didn't have to appear in Panama City Beach for this episode of Nitro. We've only got 2 more episodes of Raw to go before WrestleMania 14, so the WWF's in full-blown promotion mode. There's a lot of hype videos this week, as mentioned earlier. We kick things off with a Kenny Boy Shamrock promo, while over on Nitro, Randy Savage is hopefully going to explain where he stands with Hogan in the NWO. Kevin Kelly asks the hard-hitting questions. Can Ken Shamrock control his temper? Can the world's most dangerous man keep his cool at WrestleMania and beat The Rock without snapping? Kenny Boy says the one thing he prides himself on is discipline, a trait he had to learn when cage fighting all around the world. Ken admits to losing his temper a few times. A few times, fuck off Ken. And Shamrock says the only guy who has to worry about this is The Rock. When The Rock steps into the zone at WrestleMania, there's gonna be a new Intercontinental Champion. Kenny Boy then says this.
And you call yourself the People's Intercontinental Champion.
The People's Intercontinental Champion. British Bulldogs, the Intercontinental Champion. Ken continues on and he says we're going to find out who the real People's Champion is at WrestleMania, and then The Rock shows up along with the Nation. Rock tells Ken to know his role and shut his mouth before calling Shamrock a little jabroni. We're getting all the catchphrases tonight, folks. Rock's sick of Shamrock talking about what he's going to do at WrestleMania when in reality Shamrock couldn't last 2 minutes with any member of the Nation, let alone the People's Champ. That's what she said. Because The Rock calls the shots, he's going to do Ken a favour. If Ken can last 2 minutes with a member of the Nation, then Rock will give him a title shot tonight on Raw. Rock then volunteers D'Lo to do the honours. D'Lo clearly wants nothing to do with this, but he has no choice. So Raw's opening match is going to be a 2-minute challenge. Eric Bischoff comes to the ring with Randy and Liz, so it does indeed seem like Randy's back with the New World Order. Bischoff says there's nothing but truth in what Hogan said earlier on, but he does admit it's been a rough few months for the NWO with Randy going insane and all that. But what's important right now is that the madness is back in the New World Order. Bischoff tries to hug Randy while saying welcome back, but the Macho Man shoves Eazy E away for invading his personal space. Macho says he never left the NWO, so there's no need to welcome him back. What Randy did at Uncensored wasn't for Bischoff nor for Hollywood Hogan. Randy did it for himself and for the entire NWO. Randy then predicts the future. First he's gonna beat Sting for the world title. This is something that Bischoff can get behind. And after that, Randy's gonna take over the NWO, and the NWO are then gonna take over the world. This is something Bischoff can't get behind. So that should clear everything up. We've now got an NWO power struggle. Savage didn't leave because he wants to lead the group, and he attacked Sting because he wants a match with Sting for the world title. On one hand, it's good to know what's going on with Randy and clear up his actions over these past lot of weeks. On the other hand, it's the same old shit we've been seeing over these past lot of weeks too. Next up, we'll see if Shamrock can last 2 minutes. On Nitro, Chris Benoit faces Raven. D'Lo attacks Shamrock as Ken was trash talking Rocky, and Shamrock goes down after a clothesline. D'Lo then hits another before laying the punches in beside the ropes, and we then see a snapmare followed by a leg drop. Rocky then begins slowly approaching the ring as D'Lo lands a spinning heel kick. D'Lo says this is absolutely no problem as we approach the 1 minute mark, but then Ken starts fighting back and the rest of the Nation walk down to the ring. D'Lo takes a back elbow followed by a jumping leg lariat. There's 30 seconds left when Ken hits a belly to belly suplex. Kenny Boy then applies the ankle lock, but The Rock jumps in and Ken gets taken out with a chair shot to the back. Ken goes down to his knees and he asks Rock for another. He invites The Rock to smack him in the face, and so The Rock does it. Sorry, adding video game sounds to this is a whole lot of fun.
It's me, Mario! Whoa!
Test your might.
And yes, I know, concussions, unprotected chair shots to the head, I know. Keep your hands off the keyboard, Mr. Protector of grown-ass men, because we all know it's dangerous, trust me. But if you watch this back in 1998, everyone was talking about this chair shot. Farouk isn't happy about The Rock's actions as officials hit the ring to check on Shamrock. Rock says it'll be Farouk's ass next if he doesn't shut his mouth. So you've even got Farouk out here showing compassion for the first time ever on WWF TV. After the break, we see some replays of the chair shot heard around the world, and we can see that Kenny Boy's been knocked loopy. Backstage, Kevin Kelly thinks Ken may have just found Sean's fanny pack, but the docs send word that Ken Shamrock's been concussed. On Nitro, we see that Raven's flock have their own little sitting area on the pool, but Raven isn't in the mood for poolside frolics and fun. He gets in the ring and he says Benoit cost him the US title last night at Uncensored. The crowd chants Raven sucks as Raven says it's time for the feud to end and it's time for Benoit to feel the even flow. As for DDP, Raven says it didn't have to be like this. Raven and Page could have stood side by side, but a long time ago Dallas turned his back on Raven. This is in reference to Scotty Flamingo being part of the Diamond Mine in the early 90s, by the way. So now there can only be one. Quote the Raven, nevermore, and a big thank you going out right now to Raven. Everything Raven says gets nullified when Benoit kicks his shit in at the opening bell. Benoit hits a German suplex as Tony Schiavone says the winner of this Raven's Rule match gets a shot at DDP's US belt at Spring Stampede. Raven goes down after a baseball slide, the two fight on the outside, and they cross a bridge where the fight continues among fans at Club La Vela. Back in the ring, Benoit toys around with his opponent as Raven can't seem to get going here. Raven takes a back elbow, he tries to mount a comeback but he gets a boot in the face instead. Nitro then takes a commercial break and when we come back we see the two men fighting beside the pool. You gotta give WCW credit for the camera work at these shows, by the way. There's some fantastic shots throughout the whole night. Raven gets thrown into the WCW entranceway letters before the two head back to the ring, and the onslaught continues with a Chris Benoit hook clothesline. Raven kicks out of a Northern Light suplex, he gets his shirt ripped off in the corner for a few chops. Benoit performs a back suplex, he slaps Raven around a bit, he performs another back suplex. It's incredible how Raven has done absolutely nothing since the start of this match. Benoit performs the Three Amigos before signaling for the headbutt. Raven moves out of the way, he gets out of the ring to grab a chair, and finally Raven goes on offense with a drop toe hold. Chris then tries a crossface but he smacks his head on the chair. Raven then performs the even flow and Raven wins the match. I want to say this was good, but I really would have liked to have seen Raven being a bit more aggressive. This victory though means that Raven now faces DDP at Spring Stampede. Yuji Nagata vs Ernest Miller on Nitro. On Raw, Sable cuts a promo. Michael Cole says Sable has an intense look on her face. Fucking tense. Sable starts it off by calling Luna a bitch, classy, and Sable says it's now time to end this once and for all. Sable, if you're in a WrestleMania match with Luna, then that means you can't end it now once and for all. Sable issues a challenge to Luna. Tonight, one-on-one, once in a lifetime, the match of the decade, Icon versus Icon, the free-for-all in Phoenix. Sable versus Luna tonight in the War Zone. Sable says if Luna's got any guts, she'll show up tonight in the ring so Sable can kick her ass, and that's the end of our promo. Sable heads to the back, and then the Phoenix Suns gorilla makes an appearance, and the crowd goes apeshit. Yeah, I said it. The gorilla goes bananas in the ring after using a trampoline to jump in. He goes to the commentary table and he takes Jim's hat. Jim doesn't appreciate it. And Jim says he'll fuck the gorilla up with his King Kong Fu if he doesn't give it back right this instant. Over on Nitro, Mark Curtis officiates the Cat versus Nagata. The Cat applies a cross arm breaker and Nagata makes it to the ropes. The Cat then goes for a kick, but Nagata counters with a fisherman's suplex. The Cat has to fight from the ground and he manages to kick Nagata away, but they've already lost the audience and the crowd chant boring. Nagata reads the audience like a pro and he applies a chin lock. Good man. But this crowd doesn't know real wrestling when they see it. The Cat escapes, but Nagata sinks a boot into Miller's neck, and yeah, joking aside, they aren't giving fans much to cheer for here. Miller pulls off a sweet spinning front kick, but again there's no reaction. Nagata then uses the power of his massive snake to put Ernest on the canvas, but Miller gets up. He wipes away the sweat and he lands a clothesline. The Cat then performs his top rope kick for the win, and yeah, this one fell flat unfortunately. I was hoping for Mark Curtis finger guns because that would have 100% saved the match, but even Mark knew this wasn't good and not worth the bullets. Jeff Jarrett vs Tom Brandi on Raw. Scotty Steiner vs Ray Traylor on Nitro. Tennessee Lee says Jeff Jarrett's a better entertainer than Elvis Presley during his introduction, and I don't know guys, what do you think? Lee tells the fans to get on their feet and show respect to Double J, and here comes Jarrett on a horse. The horse even has little red lights, just like Jeff Jarrett. Wonderful. This could have been a WrestleMania entrance, but Double J would need to be booked on WrestleMania for that to happen. The Gorilla says this match is gonna fucking suck as Double J lays in a few punches. Brandi goes down after a swinging neckbreaker, and Jarrett then performs the atomic teabag, severely injuring the back of Brandi's neck. Brandi wants to give as good as he gets, so he snaps Jeff's neck like a twig with a neck breaker. The Gorilla's like, mate, there was no need for that. Double J gets rolled up, but he kicks out at 2. Brandi misses a corner attack, and this is where our match ends. Jarrett lays in the boots, he applies the figure 4, and Tom Brandi gives it up. Backstage, we see Kenny Boy getting stretchered out, and Kevin Kelly says Shamrock agreed to go to hospital. He has to find out how severe his injuries are. The Rock interrupts Kevin, and he again says, know your role and shut your mouth, before saying The Rock led the smackdown on Ken Shamrock tonight. More catchphrases from the Great One. Rock says Shamrock can now watch WrestleMania from the comfort of his own home, and the WWF can now work on finding Rock another worthy opponent for the biggest show of the year. On Nitro, Scotty. I'm not going to make fun of this because Steiner's going to show up at my door and suplexing me through a window, so yeah, nice hat, Scott, 10 out of 10. Steiner and Ray Traylor were buddies for a little while on TV, but Ray has no time for anyone in the NWO, and so Scott Steiner needs taught a lesson. Scott sticks his head out of the ring when Traylor's about to punch his face in, and the referee orders a break. A poke to the eye stuns Ray, and Steiner's able to hit a belly to belly. Ray gets choked while on the outside, and Traylor has to bite Steiner to get out of a bear hug. Scott puts Ray down with a clothesline, and Traylor gets thrown into the ring steps as Nitro takes a commercial break. We come back to see Ray making a comeback following a big boot and a few mounted punches. Steiner gets his wee Papa Pump smashed on the ring post. The two end up on the outside, and then Steiner gets clotheslined over the barrier and into the swimming pool. Kevin Nash said that all staff were warned not to jump in the pool before the show started, and here's Scotty Steiner taking a dip while completely defying his boss. Nash said that this was inevitable, and the only way it could have been stopped is if there were signs that encouraged the guys to jump in the pool. WCW, where the big boys play. Steiner slips around as Ray brings him back in the ring. He wants the referee to stop the match, but Ray gives him a big old uppercut followed by a few punches in the corner. Traylor then performs a diving clothesline, but Scott manages to kick out at 2. Scott gets up and he takes a big boot, and just when things were going well for Traylor, Buff Bagwell shows up and Ray gets his wee boss man smashed on the top turnbuckle. Scotty wakes up, we see a Frankensteiner, and Scott wins with his Steiner recliner submission hold. The WWF play its first hype video next, and it's all about Shawn Michaels. Michael Cole talks about how HBK is a mirror image of WrestleMania, the glitz, the glamour, the flamboyance, and the attitude. We see clips of HBK throughout the 90s before the video flips over to Shawn's work in D-Generation X. We then see a very well made Superkick compilation that matches the music perfectly, and then the focus of the video is all about Shawn as a performer. In Jim Ross's words, whether you like Shawn or you hate him, it's really irrelevant. Michaels is a magnificent athlete. It's a good video and it sums up HBK quite well for those who want a quick digest. Next on Raw, we have the Headbangers versus the Rock and Roll Express and Jim Cornette. On Nitro, we've got Booker T versus Chavo Guerrero. Cornette dropped a few elbows on an unconscious Thrasher on Superstar, so this is a chance for the Headbangers to get some revenge. It's a 3-on-2 tag match we've got here, and Marsh says the Rock and Roll are the ones handicapped in this match because they're stuck with Jim Cornette. The Headbangers destroy Ricky and Robert while Cornette watches from the apron. The Headbangers pull off a double wishbone and they row the boat afterwards. Cornette isn't too eager to break things up, and he's not too eager to tag in either. The Rock and Roll come back with some double team moves, including a double clothesline and a double back body drop, but Mosh is able to stop Ricky and Robert and we see the stage dive. The Headbangers win on Raw's War. Cornette isn't going to get off lightly. He gets brought into the ring by Mosh and Thrasher, but then Bob Holly and Bart Gunn show up wearing matching colours. Looks like we have a new tag team, folks. Holly performs a middle rope spinebuster on Mosh, and this new team performs a rocket launcher on Thrasher. Jim Cornette grabs a mic and he says for 8 years fans have wanted him to bring back the Midnight Express, so say hello to Bombastic Bob and Bodacious Bart, the new, improved, younger, faster and stronger Midnight Express. Cornette then says there's still guys with skirts holding the NWA Tag Team Championships, and there's still guys putting their hands on Cornette. He blames this on Ricky and Robert, and so the new Midnight Express attack the original Rock and Roll Express. It appears that Jim's ditching Ricky and Robert in favour of Bodacious Bart and Bombastic Bob. Let's not pass judgment until we see a few matches, but yeah, those names are absolutely terrible. Eddie Guerrero reminds Chavo that he beat him on Thunder, and therefore Chavo has to do whatever Eddie says. So Chavo has to wear a shirt that says, "My favourite wrestler is Eddie Guerrero." On the back it says, "Cheat to win." Booker tries to tell Chavo that he doesn't need to wear that shirt, but Chavo shoves him away, so Booker wipes Guerrero out with a clothesline. Chavo takes a back elbow followed by a hook kick. He gets punished in the corner for a bit before getting a foot up that stuns Booker, but he then runs right into a big old power slam. Chavo rolls to the outside and Booker chases, giving Guerrero an advantage when he gets back inside the ropes before the champ. Chavo does a little damage on the outside, and back in the ring he pulls off a nice dropkick, and he manages to land another dropkick when dodging a clothesline. Chavo applies a chin lock. No, make that 2 chin locks. Chavo runs in with a corner back elbow, and oh shit, there it is.
Chavo Chinlock.
Booker realizes he's getting totally schooled in the deadly arts of chinlockery, so he gets himself up, he delivers a scissors kick followed by a spinebuster, and Booker T retains the TV title with a missile dropkick. DDP takes on Reese's Pieces next on Nitro, while Chainsaw Charlie battles Billy Gunn on Raw. Before the Raw match, the Gorilla gets in the ring to show off his Gorilla 316 shirt, but the Big Red Machine has no time for such nonsense. Kane and Paul Bearer walk down to the ring, the Gorilla gets chokeslammed and tombstoned as the Phoenix audience boo, yet there's no sign of The Undertaker. Owen Hart's going to provide commentary for the second hour of Raw, and he's got an air cast on. Last week he landed awkwardly when jumping off the middle rope, so the Blackheart's been injured. He does say though that he still plans on competing at WrestleMania even if he's not at 100%. It's announced during Billy Gunn's entrance that the Outlaws vs Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie at WrestleMania is going to be a dumpster match. Chainsaw attacks early, but Billy Gunn turns it around as Road Dogg provides the arena with commentary. Chainsaw gets chopped so hard that he falls out of the ring, and the chops continue on the outside. Owen Hart says that a veteran like Terry Funk won't get disturbed by Road Dogg's commentary, but things don't look too good when Chainsaw takes 2 piledrivers back inside the ring. Still, Terry fires back with a few jabs, and B.A. Billy Gunn takes 2 DDTs, so the Road Dogg jumps in and the referee disqualifies Badass. Road Dogg hits Terry with a tag team belt, but Funk takes it away and Billy Gunn takes another DDT, this time on the tag team championship. Cactus Jack then shows up as Charlie takes out the Road Dogg on the entranceway, and Jesse James finds himself getting hog-tied. Chainsaw and Cactus lift Road Dogg high in the air, and Funk makes sure that Billy Gunn can't get his tag team partner back down. After messing around with James for a bit, Cactus says he has no idea how to get Road Dogg down, so James's ass better call somebody. A fun ending to the match here, and I'm looking forward to watching the dumpster match again at WrestleMania. On Nitro, DDP's got the privilege of taking on the flock's tallest member, the Yeti Ron Reese. Page gets overpowered after the initial lockup, and Reese lays in the knee strikes in the corner. DDP gets slammed to the mat afterwards, and it didn't look too hot, and Reese follows this up with a double-handed chokeslam. Reese then stands on Page, and that's going to be the last thing he does in this match. A float over Diamond Cutter puts Big Ron in his place, and Page leaves Panama City Beach still the US champion. Awful, awful match, by the way. Vince McMahon cuts a promo next on Raw, while Chris Jericho vs Juventud Guerrera happens on Monday Nitro. Kevin Kelly's going to interview Vince here, and the first thing Vince says is that last week his in-ring meeting with Steve Austin was both unfortunate and unprofessional. We get a replay on the Titantron of Austin flipping McMahon off, and Vince says he didn't appreciate this, and again, it was unprofessional. McMahon says it was Austin who got stunned when Shawn Michaels brought Mike Tyson into DX, but Kevin Kelly's feeling brave, and he wants to press press McMahon on some further issues from last week. We see Austin giving Vince a free shot, a shot that McMahon didn't take, and Vince says he didn't hit Austin because McMahon was acting in the interest of the fans, as in he was saving the WrestleMania main event, as in Austin would have had a broken jaw if Vinnie Mac laid his hands on the rattlesnake. Them's fighting words. We see Austin throwing Vince out of his own ring last week, and McMahon says it wouldn't have looked too good if Austin got taken out by the boss. Jerry Lawler chuckles at this and the fans do too. McMahon's grapefruits definitely grew on this day. Kevin Kelly asks the question that Austin asked last week. Does Vince McMahon want to see Stone Cold as WWF champion? Vince says it doesn't matter what he thinks, it matters what the fans think. Kelly again asks personally if McMahon wants Austin as champion. McMahon then says if Austin would listen to reason and be more open to being moulded into a respectable champion, then that's one thing. But Austin, as we know him now, would be a public relations corporate nightmare. Kelly keeps on, he says everyone wants to know the truth, and McMahon says Kelly, the fans, and Steve Austin can't handle the truth. But Double K is being fucking relentless tonight, and I love it. McMahon still hasn't answered the question, yes or no, does he want to see Stone Cold become WWF champion? And McMahon answers, he says it's not just a no, it's a
Oh, hell no!
And that's the bottom line because Vince McMahon said so. The crowd boos as McMahon leaves the ring, and there you go. McMahon made it clear that A, he could break Austin's jaw, and B, he doesn't want Austin as the champion of his company. The rivalry has now truly begun, folks. They didn't like each other before, but now the gloves are off, and these two are going to have an unbelievably successful feud that lasts for years. Stone Cold then gets a long hype video similar to the HBK one we talked about earlier. Austin talks about how the ringmaster sucked and he wanted to be himself. We see the famous Austin 316 speech, or at least the most important part of it, and we then see Austin raising hell throughout 1997 and early 1998. Of course, the Bret Hart rivalry is completely left out, but that's to be expected. Chris Jericho's in top form tonight. He says his future's so bright he has to wear shades while welcoming fans to Monday Night Jericho. And Chris says he's beginning a collection of trophies. He's got Rey Mysterio's knee, he's got the Cruiserweight belt, he's got Air Quasi's mask, and most recently, he got Dean Malenko's dignity because Dean took his ball and went home. Chris says he's taken the Texas Cloverleaf and renaming it the Jericho Maple Leaf, so that means Chris now has 1,005 holds in his arsenal. Jericho offers a handshake, but Hoovy isn't going to fall for it. Hoovy performs a spinning wheel kick followed by a clothesline. He tries to get a quick victory here, but Jericho kicks out. Guerrero goes over the top rope and onto the apron, but his springboard attack gets countered with a one-handed tombstone piledriver by Jericho. The crowd chants Jericho sucks, and Chris takes it out on Hoovy with a few boots to the head. Chris then performs a vertical suplex, but he can't put Hoovy away with his cocky pin. Chris performs a reverse suplex and a backbreaker submission. He momentarily stops Hoovy's comeback with a back elbow, but Guerrero almost steals it with a Hurricane Rana pin combination. Guerrero pulls off the Hoovy driver, but Jericho stops the 450. Hoovy does manage to hit Jericho with a flying attack, and his counter into a DDT looked great. But Jericho decides to smack Hoovy with his Cruiserweight belt, and Chris gets disqualified. Chris applies the Jericho Maple Leaf, and then he lets it go, saying it's a terrible hold and it's not good enough to be moved 1005. Triple H addresses Owen Hart next on Raw while the Outsiders cut a promo on Nitro. Triple H comes down to ringside unannounced and he accuses Owen Hart of stealing his European Championship and hiding behind a commentary desk. Hunter wonders if Owen's really a man because a man wouldn't run and a man wouldn't cower away behind an announce desk when challenged. Triple H wants a match with Owen Hart tonight for the European Championship, and Triple H wants Owen to prove he's a man by wrestling tonight in the War Zone. Owen tells Triple H to wait until WrestleMania, but Hunter provokes the European champion by pie-facing him. So Owen gets up, he throws water over Triple H, and the two start fighting. There's a referee on standby as the two brawl on the outside, so it looks like we have a European title match. Hunter gets thrown into the steps. The bell rings when the two get in the ring, but Owen immediately sends Triple H back to the outside, and then the European champ gets thrown into the ring post. Hunter gets back in the ring and he distracts the referee. Chyna appears and she smacks Owen's cast with a baseball bat. Owen gets thrown back inside the ropes. Hunter grabs the cast and he wrenches back, and the referee stops the match. Triple H is the new European champion. Owen gets assisted out of the ring by officials, and Triple H warns Owen about WrestleMania, saying the Blackheart's going to get sent back to Calgary in a wheelchair if he shows up at the grandest stage of all. Hunter says he's got 2 words for Owen as the former champion limps his way to the back, and I remember watching this and thinking that this was all a setup so Owen could win the belt back at WrestleMania and give fans a feel-good babyface victory at the show of shows, and it turns out I was completely wrong. So Triple H becomes the first ever 2-time European champion on Raw's War. On Nitro, the Outsiders come out to cut a promo, and clearly the good times were still rolling backstage. Scott conducts his survey, it's one more for the good guys, and Kevin Nash says this.
Some of you guys out there, make sure you're nice to the fat girls over spring break, right? They need a little loving too.
Nash says the fans saw Big Sexy do a Mark Maguire imitation at Uncensored when he knocked the Giant out, and tonight at Club La Vela, the Giant's nowhere to be found. Nash says he'd give the Giant the proverbial beating of his life if he showed up, and even Tony Schiavone can't ignore the state these two are in. Schiavone says they're feeling pretty good, aren't they? Nash challenges the Giant to show up so the Outsiders can give him that beating, and Scott says, "Hey Giant, that's your cue." And then, right on cue, the Giant shows up. Nash and Hall get out of the ring, the Giant gives chase, and Nash says the big man's lucky that Big Sexy's the 1998 Cannonball champion of Spring Break before jumping into the pool, reportedly wrecking himself in the process because he didn't know how shallow it was. The commentators couldn't help but laugh at this, and when Scott gets a giant wedgie and he too goes in the drink, the commentators laugh again. Kinda shows us that no one cared what Bischoff said backstage, and think about it, you've got this awesome and unique setup with a wrestling ring sitting on a swimming pool. You'd be crazy not to make the most of it and do a few spots that incorporated the setup in some way or another. They did it the year before. Remember Kevin Sullivan versus Hardbody Harrison? Yeah, I didn't think you would, but you might remember the promo afterwards.
And her and Kevin together are just too legit to quit.
Because we too legit to quit.
Just too legit to quit.
Because we too legit to quit.
Too legit to quit. Too legit.
Too legit
to quit.
Main event time. On Raw, we have the Sable and Luna confrontation. On Nitro, Savage and Hogan take on Lex Luger and Sting. Bit weird how Hogan and Savage still team up after Savage announced that he wants to overthrow Hollywood from the NWO, but let's ignore that. Lex Luger comes out all alone and the commentators wonder where Sting is. The cameras focus on the entranceway, but there's no Stinger. Bischoff says Sting's gone and Luger's gonna be dinner for the NWO because the boys have an appetite. The crowd pops when they notice a helicopter, and there he is. Sting's gonna make a grand entrance from a helicopter above Club La Vela. This is awesome, and again, the camera work was great too. Hogan complains that Macho didn't get the job done at Uncensored, so Savage smacks him and Sting gets in the ring. Bischoff gets blown out of the ring and he almost gets blown over the guardrail, but remember, no jumping in the pool, Eric. The booty man blocks Savage from leaving and Hogan attacks his partner. Savage gets thrown in the ring and the Stinger goes on offense. Macho gets body slammed a few times, Sting drops an elbow and he performs a splash from the top rope. Hogan gets punched in the face too, just for good measure, and check this out. Luger puts his boot up for the usual corner spot, but Sting and Macho completely ignore it. Lex must have stepped in dog shit on his way to the ring. The destruction of the Macho Man continues when Lex tags in. He gets sent from pillar to post before taking a vertical suplex. Luger drops his body weight on Macho Man at the ropes, and Hogan shouts at Randy to do something. Luger performs a press slam before tagging the Stinger back in. Sting spits on Hogan before hitting an inverted atomic drop on the Macho Man, and then Lex comes back in with clotheslines and his forearm smash. Hogan now has his back turned to Macho, and Hollywood should have been paying attention because Savage slaps him, and that's gonna count as a tag. Hogan tries to leave, but Savage makes sure that Hulk gets back in the ring and he has to earn his paycheck tonight. tonight, brother. The NWO Beefcake attacks Savage on the outside as Hogan fights Luger in the ring. Hulk chokes Luger out, he performs a body slam and he says that's it. He goes for the leg drop, but Lex moves out of the way and then Sting gets tagged. Hollywood takes 2 Stinger splashes, Bischoff gets knocked off the apron, all 4 men get in the ring, and when Lex applies the torture rack, the booty man jumps in the ring and that's gonna be a DQ. I'm shocked and surprised by the outcome. The NWO run down, the show fades to black as Sting and Luger fight them off, and it was all very predictable. Sable looks like she wants to rip Luna's head off as she storms to the ring, but the physicality's kept to a minimum. Officials come down to stop Sable and Luna as the crowd chant "let them fight." There is one moment where Sable manages to take Luna down and the pop inside the arena is really good, you can't deny it. And there's a loud chorus of boos when Goldust gets Luna out of the ring when the scuffle ends. It looks like Sable's injured her ankle, she can't stand up and she falls down when Marvelous Mark tries to give her a hand. This is the perfect opportunity for the Big Red Machine to show up and take Sable out for good. No one is safe from Kane. Mero leaves his wife in the ring when Kane's pyro goes off. Clearly, she's not worth it. Kane goes to attack Sable, but then the lights in the arena go out. The Undertaker stands on top of the Titantron, the crowd goes crazy, and the Undertaker speaks to his little brother once again.
WrestleMania 14, I will strike down upon thee with anger and furious vengeance. I will deliver you to the fiery pits of eternal damnation. Little brother, I've felt your wrath. Now you're gonna feel mine. The only thing that you can do now is rest in
I'm giving it to Nitro this week simply because Raw used up a lot of time with those HBK and Austin videos, whereas the action was pretty much non-stop on the WCW side. Club La Vela looked great and it gave Nitro a unique feel. The production of the show was awesome and Nitro had better matches. Vince McMahon's promo was very good on Raw, the ending with The Undertaker was also good, but Nitro felt like a much more complete wrestling show. Raw's got 57 points on our leaderboard, Nitro's got 54, and we've got 14 ties. Nitro got a 5.6 in the ratings this week, though remember WCW went unopposed on Monday night, and on the Tuesday night Raw got a very good 4.4, so both shows beat their unopposed records this week. Alright guys, so here's that update I wanted to give you in regards to Reliving the War. I'm taking a 2-week break soon, as in I'm packing my bags and heading abroad, so there's no Reliving the War episodes on the 1st of December and the 8th of December. This is the first break I've had since even before Reliving the War, so I'm gonna recharge the batteries and resume the series as soon as I come back. With that being said, I wasn't just going to leave you guys with nothing, so I've got something pretty cool lined up that I hope will be a fair trade-off. I've got 2 pay-per-view reviews recorded for you to enjoy instead, 2 shows that were not covered in their own videos during the early days of the Monday Night War, WCW World War III 1995 and WWF In Your House 5. No, not good enough? Alright, I've got 4 pay-per-view videos lined up for you while I'm gone. Let's add in the 1996 Royal Rumble and Uncensored 1996. What, should we maybe look at a few more? Alright, joking aside, there's 6. Yes, 6 pay-per-view reviews coming to the channel while I'm gone. So let's add in Bash at the Beach 1996 and let's also take a look at In Your House Mind Games. Throughout those 2 weeks I'm gone, these 6 pay-per-view videos will get released on the channel. There's also a few Reliving the War compilation cuts getting uploaded as bonuses, such as Sting, DDP, Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin's full 1997 runs. All these pay-per-views and supercuts have already been put together, so I have to give a big thank you to Nick, also known as Rebel Light on YouTube, and Brett from the Full Time Football channel channel for staying up late at night and helping me put these together while also dealing with the normal upload schedule that's on the channel. So there you have it, I get a break, you guys get a load of Reliving the War pay-per-views from the early days of the war, and I do hope this keeps things ticking over until I come back. All 6 pay-per-view reviews are currently on Patreon and the feedback has been great from supporters, so I hope you enjoy them. To be clear also, this isn't me burning out or getting fed up. I take a lot of pride in getting this show out every week, even though it's a legitimate struggle. Reliving the War weekly episodes is a complete one-man job from the scripting to the final edit, so I'm taking a break to reset and come back refreshed and ready to go again. So, thanks again for watching, thank you for continuing to choose my channel when there's so many other great channels out there you could be watching. I do appreciate it, and please, take care.